Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Danger Zone Reviews. I'm Devin Dunnigan, and I just wanted to come in real quick and do a short intro to the Halloween H20 20 years later commentary that was done by me and Stephen Mott from the Dunnigan Mott Music and Movie Podcast and his own YouTube channel. I really enjoyed doing this commentary. It's going to be my season one finale, so I'll talk about a lot of future things at the end of this video. I'll come back in at the end. So I'm not going to sit here and keep rambling on. Here's the commentary. Hope you all enjoy, and thank you. All right, good evening, and welcome back to the Danger Zone Reviews. I am Devin Dunnick. Here with me today, Stephen. How you doing, Stephen?
Great, Brother Z.
All righty, and if you're wondering what that means, we both are huge fans of the group, the Blues Brothers, and the movies. So we use a lot of that lingo toward each other. So we may refer to one another as one of the brothers or one of the Blues Brothers. But we are here today. This will be the season one finale of the Danger Zone Reviews, and yes, this will be the first official episode where I reference my reviews as the Danger Zone Reviews. Originally, when I first started doing YouTube reviews, that I've talked about in the past, how I deleted them because of me not being satisfied. But that was the name that I used, so I'm bringing it back kind of for nostalgic purposes and just plus because I like the name. But we're both me and Steven are part of the Dunnigan Mott Music and Movie Podcast, and we have just today. This is May the 4th, 2020. We have released our first episode to Anchor podcasting app, or I think it's Anchor.fm, right?
Yes.
Alrighty, and it's on YouTube as well on my channel. We have our own channel, but I haven't uploaded a video to it yet. But I eventually will put it up there. But I'm basically going to take a break from reviews for a little while. This will not be up on May the 4th. This will be up probably in 2 weeks because I've got one more review to put up after this for episode 14. But this will be the season finale of season one. But I'm taking a break basically to focus more on our podcast here. But with this season finale, we are here today to talk about and discuss and watch the 1998 sequel in the Halloween franchise, Halloween H20 20 years later. Kind of a reboot, capital R. I talked about this movie earlier this season in one of my first reviews when I changed formats and started editing a lot of stuff. And go check that review out as well. So I'm not going to touch on a lot of the backstory here at the beginning. I'll touch on some of it throughout the review. But we were watching the Echo Bridge. I believe it's the Echo Bridge. I have the DVD sitting right here.
Miramax.
Yes, the Miramax 3-film collection. I believe this is Echo Bridge. I could be wrong. It just says Miramax and Lionsgate on the back of this. But yeah, we are right after the R rating badge on the movie. So we have pressed pause right before I believe the Dimension Films logo comes in. So we'll give you just a couple of minutes to get your movie ready. I mean, it doesn't really matter what version of the movie you're watching. Just before you hit play, just pause it right before the Dimension Films logo comes in, or either it may be Miramax. I can't exactly remember. But yes, we will be watching Halloween H20 20 years later from 1998, the seventh film in the Halloween franchise, but chronologically it takes place after Halloween 2. So it's technically Halloween 3 all over again, even though the actual Halloween 3 has nothing to do with the Michael Myers mythos. But this is a second take because we recorded a about half of this movie before, as well as we recorded part of Curse as well, and both interrupted by phone calls on my end. So
Yeah, we only got about 30 minutes into it.
yeah, and But this time we're going to I'm turning all my stuff off to where if we get a phone call, hopefully it will not come through. So well, are you ready to go, Stephen?
All right, I'm ready, brother.
All right. Well, we are going to take a dive into probably a one of the more polarizing films in the franchise. I've talked about it before. I like the film, but let's just go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1, play. Mr. Sandman's opening this film up. A very good throwback to Halloween 2, the ending of Halloween 2.
Langdon.
Yeah, the only Halloween film not to take place in Haddonfield. And I think it's kind of one of the negatives I got for this movie.
So why was that, brother? Do you know?
Why it took place away from Haddonfield, I don't really know, to be honest with you. This nurse here is the nurse from Halloween and Halloween 2. She was one of the few survivors from that film. Of course, this being technically Halloween 3 in the chronology, if I'm saying that word right. But basically, I mean, Halloween 6 had a lot of meddling, as we've talked about before, or as I've talked about before, and in our unreleased half of an episode for Halloween 6, there's a lot of meddling that went on with that film, and basically that's what led to this movie being made. That's a Cenobite, the Butterball Cenobite from the Hellraisers franchise. That's pretty cool. Um, Kind of throwback to that franchise, I guess you could say. But
Reference.
yeah, reference. And that's a obvious reference. And I like the beginning of this movie fine. I think the beginning of it's pretty good. It just loses me after the beginning of it.
Yeah, that's the way the Halloweens usually start. They usually start out with the normal type family stuff or around the neighborhood, and then it starts. It's towards the middle of the movies when the killing starts ramping up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this I believe this is the shortest Halloween film. I'm looking at the DVD now. This this runs at 85 minutes, so it's I think the shortest Halloween film. So yeah, last few times I've watched it, it's kind of took. It seems like it took longer than that to get through. So, but
I guess if you're picking it apart, it takes longer to get through it.
yeah, and I talked about it in my review. I used to like this movie. This used to be one I went to a lot to watch, and then I decided to watch it one day, and I was ready to go with it, and then I just found myself not really enjoying it. And this guy here, this is a very young or very early Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He'd go on to be a huge movie star.
So he took off from being in Halloween, huh?
Yeah, that's one thing about a lot of these horror movie franchises. You got some actors that eventually went on to do a lot. You had like Kevin Bacon, of course, was already in a film prior to the original Friday the 13th, but he was he kind of he one of his earlier roles was in Friday the 13th, and Johnny Depp, the actor Johnny Depp, he was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and as was Patricia Arquette. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And Paul Rudd, that was in Halloween 6, he went on to become a pretty prominent movie star.
Yeah, that scene pretty much kind of seemed like it was leading up to the murder that's going to come up pretty soon.
Yeah. Man.
And or just an excuse to go in there and steal some, you know, pops.
Yeah.
He must be pretty poor if he goes in there and steals some cookies and drinks.
Like I said, I don't mind the beginning of this movie at all. I think this is probably by far the best part of the movie. And, it's got a good cast in it, even though I don't think a whole lot of this movie. I do think the cast is very good in this movie. Got Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, returning back, because originally this movie was going to go direct to video, so it was not going to be released theatrically. But they decided when Jamie Lee Curtis came back, I mean, it was of course going straight. It was going straight to theaters instead of straight to video. This was a very successful movie at the time as well. There's Donald Pleasance. This is the first Halloween that he wasn't um, in because of his death in '95, and boy, is he missed. And like I said, I mean, this is they could have continued with the arc in Halloween 6, but I mean they was going to have to eventually do something.
There's Michael.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Halloween 6, both versions, but I mean they had kind of written themselves into a corner by that point. And had to do something, and I do like that they took it back to Halloween 2, and that they tried to expand on that, and I do like that. I just think the execution in this movie was what was kind of a huge failure.
Yeah, there's that murder.
Yeah, that's one of the better ones in the movie. Very Friday the 13th esque though. But the director of this movie, that's the Halloween 6 mask. No burns on his hands from being burned alive in Halloween 2. That's one thing they got right in 4, 5, and 6. He did have burns on his hands. But they took it back to a much more simplistic Michael Myers.
So apparently you can chop Michael Myers in the back of the head with a machete and it doesn't do anything to him.
Well, I mean, money talks, so just look at the next film, and that's probably 1 minute. I probably want to do a commentary on that one next season, and or do it on the podcast or something. That'd be pretty cool because I actually stand by Resurrection, and Resurrection's known to be probably one of the worst in the franchise. I like it. It has problems, yes. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but I still like it. He steals this car. like I said, the whole opening of this movie, and this is very Scream-esque because by this time, I mean, it was very much focused on cold opens and stuff like that. So having a murder prior to the actual credit sequence, and this goes right along with it. Which the writer of the first two Screams, he was involved in this to an extent. I think he did some uncredited writing on this film, and the producers wanted to sell this movie as from the writer of Scream, but the guy who had basically written most of this movie, he refused. He wanted his name on the film and didn't want it to be shared. So, and in one of the um either one of the scripts or one of the treatments, these two detectives here was supposed to have some more to do with the film. Actually, if I remember right, Kevin Williamson, he had written two treatments. I don't think he ever had written a script, but he did write two treatments. I believe it's two, and Robert Zappia um he was the writer of the final product, and I think
Hmm.
Kevin Williamson may have done some tightening in the script here and there, some rewrites somewhere along the line.
Yeah, this one is different from the other one we tried to reviewed earlier. I believe it was Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah,
Because it went a while without really having any murders or anything. It was kind of a lot of build up to it from that
yeah,
point. Not as many murders in that one. This one kind of feels like it could have a lot coming. You know,
uh huh.
from the first part of the movie, it seems like it could be sort of a more of a fast paced movie, especially when it started out with the murder and all. But uh, did you say this one was kind of slowed down towards the middle and all that?
Yeah, I mean it was in the middle. It got kind of slow, and I'm not going to say anything because my opinion may change by the end of this. I don't know because I'm actually enjoying it so far.
Yeah, well, we're just getting started. So
Yeah. So I mean I'm not going to say anything yet, but additional music by Marco Beltrami, film editor Patrick Lucier. He's one of the best. I think he's probably the best editor out there. Um, he's done he done all I think he done all of the Scream movies. He did Wes Craven's New Nightmare. He did this one. Um, he was involved with a lot of those movies around, and there's a work print of this movie, and the credits are just a little bit longer. And going back to the thing I was saying about Marco Beltrami, he um he did some additional score to the movie because producers was not happy with what the original guy who did the score did, and if that makes sense. I When I do these things, I have a loss for words every time. I mean, my mind goes blank on a lot of words and stuff like that I could use, and
yeah, it
that
seems like we went through the same train of conversation about this time last time we tried to do this.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, when I do reviews, I notice there's a lot of ums. I mean, that's a lot of what happens most of the time.
Well, I guess there's not a whole lot going on now. I guess it's sort of throwing back to different things and while the credits are rolling. And now I guess the credits are done.
Yeah,
This is a scene here I thought that was sort of kind of random a bit.
Yeah,
I guess it was supposed to be sort of a lead up thing, maybe, but I don't know. It just didn't quite fit my mind.
yeah. Well, they did something here. I I don't really know. Cause I mean, this character here is very much. It's way different than the version in 2018. But I mean, it's two totally different characters suffering from pretty much the same thing. But
Yeah, I think the character, Laura Strode character in this movie is a whole lot more like of a typical like woman in one of these movies, like running from something. The
yeah,
2018 one, I got more of an impression that you wouldn't be seeing a scene like her waking up screaming from a nightmare. You wouldn't be seeing that in the movie. You would see more like her, being more like a like a bad more type of woman. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like wanting to shoot him and having all the guns and locking herself back, and all that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same character, but they're suffering. They're handling PTSD totally different. I mean, they're handling post traumatic stress disorder, whatever it is. To-
Yeah.
Totally different between both films. I mean, one's trying to stay away from it, and the other's trying to confront it and basically kill it. And a lot of throwbacks, I think, to Friday the 13th, mainly because the director, like I was saying, he directed Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, and both of those were great. I mean, Part 2 is probably my favorite sequel, and maybe even my favorite film in the franchise. But I mean, he's a good director. I think this was kind of his return to horror because he had directed several films under Sean S. Cunningham, the original director of the first Friday the 13th. And then I think he basically tried to get away from horror for a while and get into more of different type of films. But I think this was kind of his kind of bigger his kind of bigger return to the horror genre. He's done several films since.
I think this scene here is kind of leading up to something in the movie like it's kind of typical of these types of movies, like the kind of rebellious teenager or whatever. Their parents, our parent trying to control them, and they keep on sneaking out or and doing wrong. It usually leads up to them being killed. I don't know if he does or not, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, at this time, I mean, horror movies was very self-referential, and basically they were very. It was they carried this over where she sees his reflection in the window. That was something new. They carried over the resurrection that really didn't have nothing to do with that film because I mean, I'm not going to get into that movie here, but really, the character that was in it didn't have any connection to Michael like Laurie did. So it would make more sense for Laurie to have hallucinations like that than in that movie. But I like that they did carry it over. But like I was saying, I mean, this was a movie. At this point, I mean, horror movies basically became self parodies of themselves, or themselves, and basically they basically made fun of what was happening, or they made reference and said, "Hey, we know exactly what's going on here. We know exactly that y'all know what's going on here. We're going to play it in this movie that whatever. I mean, I'm trying to say it exactly the way I'm thinking it, but um, basically they were self referential to themselves and was kind of yes, we know what happens in a horror movie, and we know the audience knows. So
This movie seems like it's kind of jumping around to different things because it opened up, with the nurse coming back home, and then the guy searching, and he gets killed, and then it jumped to, you know, one thing, then it's now to another thing in California.
yeah, and this part here, the rest area scene, they carried it over to Halloween 2018.
Yeah, I think I know what you're referring to.
It had a very different outcome than this movie. I mean,
Yeah, I would say so. They probably didn't have that in mind though when they were
I,
making this
I mean,
scene.
with this movie, I mean, they were playing it. They were trying to go right back to the first movie. That was basically they wanted it to be suspenseful, and that's what this is. I mean, it's a level of suspense. Is Michael going to attack? Is he not? Is what's going to happen? It's trying to play up a level of intensity, and I think this scene does that justice. But I mean, yeah, like you said, I don't think they were thinking about this at that time because they were focusing more on the story than they were the actual violent deaths of the other film. This was more focused back on the suspense than it was Michael Myers. And
That's another one of them things that if you don't watch the other movies after or before it, then you probably it wouldn't make as much sense to you.
yeah, but
Like if you weren't tied into another movie, scenes like this where nothing really happened with it, it's just it doesn't really seem like it fits too much because it jumps from Illinois to California and back to this one. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I don't have a gripe really, to be honest, with it taking things away from Illinois. I mean, it was decent. I mean, it could. I wish it would have went a little bit more into kind of Michael, maybe his journey to California, well, like maybe he's confronted with something or something like that. But or something to that matter. But I mean, still, I mean, it's played off. I mean, they're doing exactly what they set out to do with this movie, and I
Well,
mean,
basically, so Michael can go to Northern California to Illinois at the same time, apparently.
yeah. But I mean, like I was saying earlier, I mean, at this point, I mean, Scream came out in 1996, and for it changed horror at this time because by 1996, slasher films were gone. I mean, Friday the 13th, they had like Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday came out, and that took the series into a whole different direction. And then you had like Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was very self referential, and you know what I mean by self referential.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And I mean, when Scream came out, it kind of they kind of had fun with the kind of cliches of horror movies, and this movie's no different. I mean, you basically they wanted to make the victims just as smart as the killer, and they wanted the victims to where it wasn't just stalk and kill. They wanted to kind of put up just a little bit of a fight. And like I was talking about earlier, I mean, this guy here, Adam Mark, and that the old lady right there, that's Janet Lee. That's Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. And,
In the movie or in real life?
yeah. Well, in real life, that's her mother. Yeah,
I
Janet Lee.
figured that's what you was talking about, but just to
Yeah.
clarify.
And in the movie, they're not related. I don't think she's just a secretary, and she's in it. This was the first, I think, the first role Janet Leigh had since 1980's The Fog that was actually directed by John Carpenter, who directed the original Halloween. And oddly enough, this also starred Jamie Lee Curtis along with Janet Leigh in it too. So
Now that scene in Northern California or whatever, is that woman and the kid, is that going to lead to anything else in this movie?
no,
So that's all that was from them two people. Period.
huh?
That's all that was from those two people in this whole movie.
Yeah. I mean, that was basically Michael getting another car. That was to explain a reason for him to get another vehicle.
Okay, so that's what it's trying to do.
Because I believe I can't remember the cards, the title card on here, but I believe it is Halloween now. So I'm pretty sure. So it passed. I believe the opening of the movie took place on October 29th. So he's been traveling a couple of days now. So I mean,
Well, I know it's not too long from here where he drives by, so it must not be too much of a different time frame.
yeah, well, it's a couple of days. So I mean, he
It
drove.
doesn't really say days, does it? It just said to California, then and it didn't say it back to Illinois. It just went back to it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it went from October 29th was when the nurse got killed at the beginning. So if it's Halloween now, I mean, he's been driving several days, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. If you drive all day and all night, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I don't think Michael Myers is going to take a nap.
Yeah.
Or see, I think he did in Halloween 5. And that film, he was asleep for a year or was in a coma or something. I mean,
And if he does sleep, he won't show it in a horror movie, though, will he?
oh,
That'd be kind of anticlimactic, wouldn't it?
yeah, pretty much.
Just cut to a scene where Michael's taking a nap.
Yeah. I like LL Cool J, the guy that's talking on the phone to his wife. I like LL Cool J in this movie. This music here, where the car's driving down the road, this is from Scream. So this is music cue from Scream.
Huh.
And
Yeah, he's supposed to get caught.
yeah, yeah, I think this is the part we made it up to last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. We might be about 15 or 20 minutes in now or something like that.
Yeah, something. I'm reading on my surround sound player. It says 27 minutes. So and that's about right, I think. And I do have a slight issue with Michael's look in this movie. Because you see his eyes, and I don't particularly like that because I mean it's supposed to be the blackest eyes, and you're not. He's really supposed to be in the shadows, and that's one thing. I mean, they done the same thing in Halloween 2, but I think it worked more in Halloween 2, and I don't have a problem with it in Halloween 2, but this one I do because you see more of his face behind the mask in this movie, so his eyes look bigger in this movie. But I think they also do that with his eyes. They do that a lot better in Resurrection. So
Oh, yeah.
I
Only
haven't.
certain people can play Michael right, huh?
Well, I mean, yeah, no. I mean, for what Chris Duran was, I mean, he was kind of to me he was a whatever version of Michael Myers, but I mean, he was decent, I guess I could say. I mean, I'm not gonna totally crap on him, but I prefer Brad Lorry to him than this this version. Brad Lorry played him in Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like with Resurrection, they had they had a mask that was decided on, and in this movie, there's a total of 4 different masks. And his masks all change at different points in the movie.
Yeah, because several different people wanted the different mask and all that.
Yeah, I think we talked about it to a certain extent when we first tried to do the commentary, and I believe, if I'm not bad wrong, I talked about it in my review as well. But basically, what it was, I mean, the director wanted one mask, the producers wanted one mask, the studio wanted another, and then the other mask that's in the movie was basically a CGI mask and nobody even knows why it was even used. So by far, I like the Halloween 6 mask. I wish that was the one they would have used because I think that was a good return to form at the time as far as his mask went. Because I like 4 for what it was, and I like 5 for what it was. 5, yeah, a pretty bad mask, and yeah, maybe 4 is too. But I mean, for what it is, I mean it's okay. I think they got that a lot better with Resurrection and the Rob Zombies and the 2018 film.
I wonder what Michael's thought process was. I'm gonna okay, he said I'm in Illinois right now. I'm gonna go all the way to California. I'm gonna scare a woman and her little kid, and then I'm just gonna drive back to Illinois.
No, he didn't drive back to Illinois. No, he was on a route. He's on route to California. That's where Jamie Lee Curtis's character is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the only one the whole movie basically takes place out of Haddonfield, Illinois. So this movie, the whole college and all of that's in California.
Did it? I don't know if it actually said it on there though. Did it?
Yeah, it did at the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. It when it cut to the nurse in there, but it doesn't really say that this right now is in California, does it?
Yeah, when it swaps to Jamie Lee Curtis, it does. Yeah, there's a title card that says California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't have an issue with this. It taking place out of Haddonfield. It may be a little bit off, but like I said, I still don't have a problem with it. I mean, I wish they would have. The biggest problem I probably got with this movie is Michael and hit the portrayal of Michael. I mean, I think there was not no special makeup compared to 4, 5, and 6 with like the burn marks or anything. He's basically I'm fine with the hands and stuff, but the mask is what I've got a huge problem with because it's his eyes. I mean, in the other movies you don't really see his eyes that much. But in this one, I mean, every time you see it, you see these huge wide shots, and I mean, his eyes are basically like big golf balls, basically. And I mean,
Now we were comparing this movie to the 2018 one earlier, but where did that one take place? Was that one in uh Haddonfield or?
yeah, that was in Haddonfield. Yeah.
So what's the theory behind Jamie Lee Curtis being in California and then this one being in Haddonfield?
You talking about the 2018 one being in Haddonfield?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I mean, later on in the movie they make reference to it, but I mean, basically, and it kind of plays off of Halloween 4. It kind of contradicts itself, kind of taking itself away from 4, 5, and 6 because you've got references to 4 and 5. I mean, the 1 to 4 is that she faked her death with a car crash, and in 5 there's a pair of scissors. He never killed anybody in the first 2 movies, but basically what it is, she has faked her death in a car accident and has basically come to California. She's changed her name. She's not Laurie Strode. So
Hmm.
she changed her name to Carrie Tate in this movie.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this is kind of a lower point in the movie to me, as it's the bit. Another thing, I mean, with this movie, I think it's just it's a bland movie, and you're breathing in the microphone.
All right, yeah, I had it right there in front of me there.
Yeah, that's fine. It just kept coming through when you took a breath. It would come through the microphone.
Is it good now?
Oh yeah, it's fine now. But
This seemed kind of random to me as well.
yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. It kind of gets slow in the middle of it, and it focuses a lot on the teenager drama. That's the part I kind of mean by this. I mean, they have this huge school here, but they don't really ever do anything with it. As far as like Michael stalking people, they do pull a Friday the 13th Part 2 and explain everything away about all of the other students being there. I mean, they explain them away by them going to this Yosemite field trip. So, and I've seen this film plenty of times. So, I mean,
Yeah, this is pretty much. You've seen it a lot, but this is probably about the second or third time me watching this, pretty much. So that's why I seem pretty clueless about the details.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's all right. I mean, but
I guess all I can do is really, kind of tell my opinion about stuff. I think where we stopped last time was right before this because I remember I remember her getting the flowers or whatever, but I don't remember this
okay,
last time. I think that's right before this is where how far we got.
all right. Well,
Definitely that I've ever seen before.
yeah. And there's also I was talking about there's a work print version. There's also a version. It was an FX TV version, and basically they edited what various amounts of blood and gore and killings in the movie. They edited out and put some extended dialogue and stuff in. So I mean, not too much stuff. You can find it. It's in my review. I put the scenes in there as background footage. So
Yes,
that's
I'm starting to see what you mean now. It's going pretty slow, ain't it?
yeah. But every time I see that little statue behind Jamie Lee Curtis, I think about the 1966 Batman television series. I always think about that. Originally, in this part, I believe there was supposedly I talked about it in my review of the movie. So, but there was a scene that was supposed to connect this movie back to 4, 5, and 6. It was supposed to reference those movies, and basically, I've heard different stuff. I mean, that kind of contradicts that. I mean, Steve Miner said it was his intention from the start to start over, as was the writer of this movie, Robert Zappia. It was said that he was they were basically wanting to start over. So, I mean, like I said, Halloween 6, they had written themselves into a corner, and they had places to go, but I mean, they had to get back to Michael Myers and something more accessible to the mainstream audience as quick as possible. And that's what this movie is. I mean, this is a commercial Halloween film. I mean at the time this was a huge film when it was released. I mean, this brought Halloween as a franchise back on the map. I mean, six had really killed it. I mean, it had killed the momentum in the series. I mean, it kind of started with five because four came out, and four is a great film, at least to me. I mean, some people think it's not that very good. I think it's a great film. It has its problems. I mean, but I mean, the script was written in like a couple of weeks prior to the shooting of the movie or something. And I mean, there's a few mishaps in the script, but as far as I mean, the whole fourth film. I mean, the fourth film takes care of continuity just fine, and um, the fifth film they fast tracked after the success of four, but at the time, I mean, slasher films had kind of started to kind of fall out of popularity. So I mean, all of the movies, pretty much all of the slasher films that was released in 1989, um, Friday the 13th Part 8, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Shocker, was directed by Wes Craven. Halloween 5, all of those didn't do well. So I mean, 89 is kind of to me it's the fall of the slasher films, and really until 96, that's when it sure enough picked back up. But, I do like this part of the movie when it's her and her mother together. I believe this is Janet Leigh's final film.
Is she in any other ones?
Who, Janet Leigh?
Yeah.
No, she, of course, everybody knows her in the horror kind of fandom, I guess you could say. This is all a cue from Psycho. There's a musical cue for Psycho, and this car is from Psycho, or at least a replica of the one from Psycho. So it's kind of a cool throwback to that film. So,
That's interesting.
and that line, "Everybody's entitled to one good scare," that's a throwback to Halloween 1978. Um, Seems like we're more talking about the other movies than we are this one.
Yeah, pretty much. What is this a high school here they're in?
I don't know actually.
It seems like one of those prep schools or something anyway.
That's
With
what
the
it is.
uniforms.
Yeah, it's a prep school. Yeah,
They look to be about high school age.
yeah. It's huh.
Yeah, I don't think he's very good at his job.
And this was another part of the movie that was played more for suspense than anything else. So,
He's just going to open the gate to go in there and see what that is.
yeah. Um,
And another detail too that's interesting that they added is him, talking on the phone and all that too.
yeah.
kind of way off topic, I guess I could say.
Yeah. And of course, today it being May the 4th, all of a sudden AMC decided to show a Halloween marathon. So I caught the first two, two Rob Zombie films, and Halloween 2 was weird. The Halloween 2 Rob Zombie version. It was weird because it was an amalgamation of the theatrical cut and the the unrated cut. Then, of course, the 2007 remake, it was the standard television or the theatrical cut.
This seems like it could be a kill scene, but I guess it's not. But
Yeah,
usually in a horror movie, this would if he's gonna stick around for that long, it's usually gonna turn out to be, him pretty much getting slaughtered.
yeah. And like I said, I mean, a lot of this is played more for suspense than it actually is. Than it actually is.
And probably it seems like one of them things like they just wanted to get a certain person in there or give them a lot of time in the movie. That's what it seems like to me. They just probably wanted the guy in there, at least a couple of different times,
Yeah, man.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, and this was supposed to be the final Halloween film. And
there's been a lot of them, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Halloween 2 was supposed to be the final film, and I mean,
wasn't 2018 supposed to be the final film?
Initially, yeah, but I mean, and I was fixed to say with this one, I mean, money talks. So, I mean, if money talks to you, another movie's gonna be made. So, and this place here, this whole college or whatever, was used for Scream 3 in 2000. So that's a pretty interesting thing there.
So is this real or is this in her imagination on here?
Just watch. Okay, yeah, you see it. This was at the time of the jump scares too. I mean, you expect one thing and it's something totally different. And
well, in that logic, then I guess the other scene could be, imagination too. Like with the guard or whatever.
Yeah, well, no, and that was Michael. I mean, that explained how he got inside to the college. So,
well, usual movie logic with Michael Myers would be he just got in there. He just appeared.
Oh, there he went right there.
So basically, the logic is whenever someone else besides, she sees him, it's real. That's the logic.
Pretty much, it's weird. It's confusing, but that movie that was playing on that TV right there, that with the girl said, "Do you want to die tonight, Cece?" That actually cannot happen in this series. And the reason why is because this movie franchise is referenced in that movie franchise. That's Scream 2. So technically, that movie should not have been played in this movie.
Huh.
Because it screws continuity up and pretty decently. And originally it was going to invoke a kind of a in joke, and it was where they were going to play the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer, and it was going to invoke the joke because Mike Myers, the actor Mike Myers, he's in the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer. So it was supposed to make that joke. And Jamie Lee Curtis supposedly offered him a role or a cameo in this movie, and he declined.
That's another one of those things I was talking about earlier. That the kind of rebellious teenager thing,
Yeah,
where they're sneaking out and all that. It's usually in a lot of these horror movies. That's the ones that winds up getting killed. But I don't know where this is going.
yeah. But originally, John Carpenter, the director of the original one, he wanted to come. They basically, when Jamie Lee Curtis came back to this movie, she wanted basically as much of the cast and crew from the original as possible, and she wanted like the secretary that's played by Jamie Lee Curtis's real life mother. She wanted her to be played by an actress in the first film, but the first film basically did the girl from the first film basically didn't give an answer because she was killed in the first film, so she kind of felt it'd be a little bit confusing for her to come back for this one. And I understand that her voice is in the 2018 one though, so she's technically in that movie as a kind of a cameo.
See, where are they at now?
They're
Underground
in like
somewhere?
the basement or something. Yeah, they're in like the basement or something of this place.
It looks like they're trying to conjure up spirits or something with them candles.
But yeah, they wanted John Carpenter to come back for this movie, but John Carpenter he wanted $10 million to come back,
Hmm.
and basically he felt that he was owed some money that wasn't paid to him on the very first movie. So when the producers told him no, he basically threw the film down and moved on to something else. And he released the movie Vampires this year, John Carpenter's Vampire. I've never seen it, so I don't know how good it is. I've heard good things about it. I don't know. And I mean, like most movies, I mean, it's kind of this. It kind of seems like, I mean, every time, and I mean, knock on wood. I mean, I'm hoping that nothing happens with the new film or anything like that. But I mean, it kind of seems like every time the Halloween series hits a home run, they kind of second guess themselves with the sequel. I mean, it was kind of that way with. I mean, the first two was good, and they put out three. Three didn't do good, so they had to bring Michael Myers back. They released four, then five came out, then they released six. Six bombed, so they rebooted it with this one. Then this one done really well, excuse me. And then they put out Resurrection. It bombed. Well, I don't think it bombed. It just basically didn't do well. And they was intending to follow that movie up, but then they done Rob Zombie's film. It made a whole lot of money. And they followed it up with H2, and then it received a lot of negative reviews. So then the Halloween series sat there until 2018, and then they put out that movie, and it's brought the Michael Myers character back again. So
Seems like this little affair that's going on now has got to be leading up to something as much as they're referencing to it.
well, I mean, it's basically explaining the Laurie Strode character. I mean, that's pretty much all it is with this part of the movie. I mean, it's explaining the whole that she changed her name and everything else, like I was talking about. Because to him, he only knows her as Carrie Tate, but she's explaining to him that she's actually Laurie Strode.
It looks like that same stuff she was drinking earlier, that clear stuff.
Yeah. they do they do a decent amount of that. I mean, like I said, I mean it's two different versions of PTSD in both movies. I mean, one's running from the fear, and then the other's trying to confront it. So, I mean, in this movie, she's basically, as her son says, I mean, a functioning alcoholic. So, and
Yeah, this is the second time it's had her drinking that whatever that is, and I get from what I gathered from that cafe scene or whatever, it's probably something pretty strong. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, also, I mean, this is not related to her alcoholism or anything like that, but the whole the part where it says the 17th birthday card that the boy got from the beginning,
Yeah, I seen it just now.
that ties back to the first one because Michael came after Laurie Strode when Laurie Strode was 17, so now he's come back and now her son's 17. So it kind of presents 17 as a big number in this part of the timeline. And this is a very well made movie. I mean, they knew exactly what they were trying to do. And what I'd like to know, how in the world does she have a gun at a school?
Well, I mean, I guess if you live on the campus and you have to have something there, you know.
I guess so, but I mean, it's kind of weird. But I mean, it's movie logic, so I mean,
Yeah, that's what you told me a lot before. Yeah, I guess really we wouldn't be analyzing it so much if we were just watching it versus trying to do a commentary. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And I mean, that's what I mean. Sometimes nitpicking and stuff gets on my nerves when it comes to movies. But I feel like a lot of people don't enjoy the movies. They just sit down and say, "Oh, this is not right. This is not right." But I mean, I do the same thing a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times I'll watch movies and I'm like, "Oh, this is so freaking stupid. This doesn't even follow this." And the biggest deal I have is like continuity issues. I hate it because I'm a continuity buff. Because if if you do a previous movie, if you follow up on that movie, don't try to guess with nothing or fudge anything to make something else fit in. I mean, I that's one thing that kind of gets on my nerves.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess if you listen to a commentary, you're gonna have to have some of that
Yeah,
because if you're gonna talk nonstop through the whole thing, I mean, you're gonna come to a point where you gotta elaborate something on it, you know.
yeah. And what do you think's about to happen here, Stephen?
Well, there's Michael, and he's trying to reach down and get something. I don't know what he is exactly,
Cool.
but if I didn't know any better, I'd probably say kill.
Yeah. See that. This mask, look at it. That is the CGI mask. That is terrible looking.
Yeah, I gotta say I agree with you on that one.
But I'll just say it though. I mean, it fits better than the other two masks that they used. The two H20 mask. I mean, I actually say it. Maybe I'm controversial. This will be controversial for me saying it, but I think the CGI mask fits better than the other two masks they used. Of course, the six mask I said was the best one in here, but the six and CGI mask are the best masks in here. I mean, it may be
Yeah, I guess
but
there's only a few times in the movie that it really films close up to Michael's face, you know.
yeah, and I mean that's what they did. See here, this death wasn't even seen.
Well, the other one, when the movie first started, it wasn't seen either, was it?
The nurse
Well, I mean,
was the two guys. They would, yeah. And this is one of the more better scenes in the movie. And I mean, it's so weird for me to say, "Oh, this is such a great death scene," but but this is one of the better death scenes in the movie. And when he looked up from down below that dumbwaiter, that's actually one of the better uses of the mask there. I thought that looked a lot more close to his prior masks.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of you talking about a lot. There's only a few close-ups. Yeah, and I mean that's a big part of it. A lot of it. See, that mask I don't really like either. And I mean, it was a lot of basically they filmed this movie. The director Steve Miner, he liked this mask that KMB Effects used, and basically it was a shot, and the mask it had a huge forehead, but it was a blank expressionless, if I can pronounce the word right. It had a blank expression to it, and he liked that. But the producers didn't. The producers wanted something more in line to the original, and basically, um, that's where this mask come in. So they went back and reshot a lot of different stuff. And this mask is a lot more kind of akin to the Halloween Resurrection mask. So,
That stabbing looked kind of fake to me.
yeah. Like I said, I think
He was doing it way too slow for it to be real.
yeah. And I mean, that's what I was going to say also. I mean, this mask was a little bit, I mean, not mask, but this actor portraying Michael was a little bit of, it was just a little bit, stale, I guess you could say. And one of my theories is because the original version of this movie was actually going to have a copycat Michael Myers. And that to me is the way Michael's played in this movie, as a copycat Michael Myers. And I mean, whatever the case may be, but
Maybe there's multiple Michaels roaming around now. I don't know.
that would be interesting. That was something I think that caught a lot of people up in Halloween 4. I mean, people said when it was like some people dressed up as Michael Myers, and I think it was like some people said, "Oh wow, there's going to be 2 or 3 Michael Myers in this movie," but it won't not being the case. Um,
Yeah, so it looks like he basically set that up to where they would follow the blood trail and then to where they'd find that hanging body there.
yeah, and that's very much like the Michael from the other movies, and he has this sick sense of humor. I mean, he does things that make think because this basically in this version of Michael, basically it's kind of like he's a child trapped in a adult body. So he has this childish sense of humor, and I mean things to us that may be frightening to him. He's got this childish, twisted sense of humor, so he's amused by it, and they carry that on through a lot of the series.
So in his mind, it's more like somebody playing a video game killing people.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
And that shot of Michael right there, where he was standing right there looking, that was the KMB mask. That was the mask the director wanted to use.
So is it like they use the mask for so long in the movie, then they switch to this one for a while, and then
That's pretty much basically like I was saying. The director he liked one, then they shot like half of the movie with that one, and then all of the see there that mask right there. That's the KMB mask.
It looks like he's getting pretty close to him with that knife.
Uh-huh. And that's the KMB mask. And like I said, I don't particular. At least I think that's the KMB. It kind of looks like it. But they what they basically did, they went back and reshot a lot of the close up shot for Michael as with the KMB mask. See that's the regular H2O mask there.
I see what you mean now. You can see them eyes a lot. And them hands look so like just normal humanish. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, I don't like that. I don't like it that they didn't apply no special effects to his hands that showed that he was burnt and that his eyes were shown pretty prominently.
See, I didn't know really what you meant until I seen that scene when you talked about the hands. Because I mean, any other time, kind of like I said about the mask, it doesn't show his hands that much up close. You know, that's probably the only time, just about ever.
And we get toward the end now. This movie is not even. It's not even 90 minutes, so it's about an hour and 25 minutes or so. So
we're getting more to the latter part of the movie.
Yeah, so here we go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier, though. You know, we were talking about that the Laurie Strode character is pretty much, you know, a lot different from the 2018 one because in that one she's a lot more aggressive. But in
Yeah,
this one, she had the gun on that one scene, so it does show a little bit of that, you know.
yeah.
That thought did cross my mind that it could be the wrong guy that they shot at.
Yeah, it was. They shot LL Cool J.
Oh man,
And now this guy's getting it.
I did not see that coming.
And this is one of the better ones in the movie as well. I mean, and
Oh
this,
wow, so he could really hold him up in the air with a knife like that,
yeah.
really.
Well, I mean, it's like Halloween 2. He kills a nurse and holds her up with a little old scalpel. So,
I don't see that happening if it was real.
yeah. So, yeah,
But
it's
yeah, I'm like you. I think that was a pretty decent scene there as far as the quality.
oh, good lord. That part gets me every time when she hits him with that fire extinguisher. It's just like she bonks him on the head and it makes that noise. It's just funny.
It didn't even look like he hit him that hard. It just, yeah, like you said, that noise.
Sound effects play things off very much.
Yeah, that's like that Stevie T video. Have you ever seen it?
I probably have.
It's called something like music and it makes movies or something like that. You know.
I mean, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, music scores are a big part. I mean, scores set an atmosphere for a movie in a heartbeat. So I mean, it's very much, yeah. I mean, a score to me has just as big of a part of the movie as the actual story does. I mean,
And also, it's kind of an opportunity, I guess, to kind of promote the music as well. You know.
yeah. Like I said, we get toward the end of it now, so
Yeah, I can see that the action's picking up a lot.
yeah, it's getting to the end. So go. That's a reference to the first movie, but it's referencing the original Scream because he says go down the street to the Beckers or whatever. That's a reference because she tells the two kids she's babysitting in the original go down the street. I believe it's to the Mackenzies, and basically basically what happened was they took the last name of the first person that was killed in the original screen and said, "Go down the street to the Beckers." And
Yeah, this is another thing I was saying earlier. She's showing a little bit more of that aggressive side
yeah,
now.
yeah, this is where stuff starts to kick up, and
It usually does at the end of these Halloween movies.
yeah,
It usually doesn't get slower before it ends. Is what I'm trying to say. Like some movies, that the climax will happen and then it kind of eases back down and then the movie will end. But usually not in Halloween, so I don't think.
yeah. But, yeah, we're getting to toward the end of it now, so I like this part too. He kind of comes out of the rafters. That's pretty cool. Oh, and he got her in the same place from the original where he sliced her with a knife.
He had it stuck in him.
Yeah, it stuck in his arm. Yeah.
I don't see no mark now though.
No,
See,
not.
look at his suit. It's see,
Yeah.
it don't look like nothing happened.
And this part here, I'll tell you when we get to it. This came all the way from Halloween 4 10 years prior. This was not shot for that film, but this is what this part came from.
Hmm.
Her
I
up
mean,
under.
yeah, I guess just watching it looks like it could be from the same place because it looks like it's part of that school inside of it
Yeah,
from the
and
underground stuff and all that chase.
yeah, and I mean, basically what it was, like the girl from Halloween 4, Jamie Lloyd, was supposed to be in when they was in the school and stuff. I don't know if you remember that part of that movie though. But this was basically she was supposed to be hiding under the desks, and Michael was supposed to be basically trying to get her from on top of the desk. And this is the part right here where he's flipping the desk. That was what this came from Halloween 4. But they never did shoot it, so it was never a part of the movie. She stabbed him with a flag.
Looked like that went in him too.
Uh huh.
Why don't you just take him and throw it at him? That's what I want to know.
There she is.
See, that's just what I was. If I seen a bunch of knives, that's what I'd be doing.
Now watch this scene right here. Watch this scene. I guess that shows you he's mad. I guess that's the only way you can put it.
Huh? I don't know if any other man be keep walking after that though. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Now the question is she gonna keep chasing him or is she just gonna go on somewhere else? Because I don't guess there's anybody else around that whole area than them two, huh?
Yeah.
Does she think he's dead or like? Because she's just walking so casually.
Mm-hmm. Just keep watching. It's fixing up.
She probably just thinks he's dead. I don't know. Look like he's got his eyes closed. What in the world? I sure did not see that coming.
And that was basically that's another instance where money talks because he was supposed to in the original version he died, but then he said, "Well, I'll come back for a sequel." So that's basically the reason he lived. And they done a similar thing in another review I did, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. They did the same thing, and basically a character expressed. Well, in that case, the character was a real. He was a better part of the film, so they kept him. But in this one, the guy expressed interest in coming back for another movie, so that's the reason. Basically, he said the bullet grazed him. So
So what was the reason for him going and grabbing her before she stabbed him?
basically, just to get her out of there, to try to calm her down.
Because I mean, they put Michael in a bag here, so assuming they're, I mean, they think he's dead here.
Oh yeah, well just keep watching. There's his truck, and there's her in the ambulance or the van or whatever.
Is that Michael in the back?
Uh huh. And that's another thing. I mean, they would probably remove the mask if they were transporting you somewhere. But they don't. I mean, like I said, it's movie logic. So
Yeah, and like I said, I guess we wouldn't be analyzing the details so much and just kind of trying to enjoy it more if we weren't filming. I guess you know.
yeah,
So what kills me is she gonna try to keep on driving even though he's moving in the back? If I was her, I wouldn't keep on driving. I'd try to stop and get the heck out of there.
there it is.
Well, I guess that's why, because it was kind of trying to lead up to that. If
I
I was
think
her,
you.
I'd just try to run over him again.
Yeah, I think you understand these movies a bit better than and you're putting yourself out to because you
Well,
know
I guess.
exactly what's going on. There you go. And this is a straight rip off from Halloween 4. I mean, they do something very similar from that film.
Well, that's not that I've seen it before, but it's just kind of what I kind of guessed what was going to happen, seeing as he's
Yeah,
right in front of the van and she's trying to kill him. You know.
there you go.
So he's trapped between a tree and a van, and
Uh-huh.
and survives, assuming.
Yeah.
So now we know he's not human.
That's the one thing I never do play it off exactly if he's supernatural or not. So
In my mind, he pretty much has to be if he survived all this mess.
yeah.
Getting stabbed with a flagpole and then stabbed with a knife in the chest, pretty deep.
Yeah. But
And on top of that, going through a windshield, falling from a balcony. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
think he's too human.
And
Let's see. She's gonna try to chop his head completely off. That's what I would do.
a little bit of sister and brother love here before.
Before she takes his head off. I'm playing. Yeah, of course he would do that in this position.
Yeah.
I mean, even if she probably did chop him, I mean, probably even if his head came off, he probably still lived from it. Now he's probably going to try to kill her, isn't he? There goes the head.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
like I said, you understand this a bit more than you think you did.
I promise I've not seen it before and knew it was going to happen. It just seems like there's a trend in these movies, like.
Yeah. And this score here, this is from, I believe, this is from a CD from the original movie score. So,
Yep, like I said, he's still going to live from it and his head's completely off.
but that right there was Halloween H20 20 years later.
That seems like kind of a not a quick watch, but a pretty decently fast, little go through there.
Like I said, it's relatively short anyway, but it kind of moves pretty fast. It's a little bit slow. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say my opinion's changed on this movie. I actually kind of enjoyed watching it.
Yep, I enjoyed it pretty well, brother. Especially
Julie
analyzing it and all
Michaels is a
that.
stunt.
Huh?
Julie Michaels is a stunt player on this film. That's interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. So you like this one?
Yeah, I like it pretty good, brother.
And this music is by the group Creed. So,
Yeah, I
especially the
guess
makeup.
assistant makeup.
Yeah. And when I watch a movie, I go through the credits and all. Until everything's over. That's when I kind of.
I wonder if these smaller, like the stunt men and all that are used in the movies, like the same ones.
It's different ones sometimes. A lot of time when like they cast people like this, they cast stunt players to where they ain't got to be so they don't use actors. They use more stunt players to where they can get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, I guess. Well, to start with, you mean, right?
Yeah. Well, like the guy that played Michael in this movie, Chris Durant, he's a stunt he's a stunt guy. So
I guess that's how you could fall from a balcony and you
yeah,
know.
pretty much. And that's what they go for. I mean, they try to cast people in like stuff in roles like that to where they can do their own stunts. To where you ain't got 57 different people playing one character.
Yeah, well, in a normal movie, I guess it's not so many scenes where you have to have it. So that's why it's different from a normal movie per se, and not a
Yeah.
horror film.
So what do you give this as a rating out of 10?
Uh, Probably more because, like you said, it kind of slowed down towards the middle with the teenage drama and such, and it didn't really lead to. Well, it did lead to stuff, but I'd probably give it more like a 7 out of 10. What I would
Seven,
say.
yeah, I was thinking about it. It's probably for me a strong 8 to an 8.5 would probably be me.
Mainly because the scenes there were kind of scenes that didn't quite really add up. It seemed more for effect than anything, and that's probably
Yeah,
why I took a little bit off of it. But that's probably the only reason. Other than that, it seemed the story went pretty well, and it led up. Like with all the tension type scenes and all that. So I
yeah,
think it was overall a pretty good act for the movie.
and man, this was from. I think it was kind of more promoted as this is going to be the last movie in the franchise, but I mean,
Well, that's kind of the same concept as why a band would say they were on their final tour, I guess, because gets a lot more probably money made and publicity for
yeah,
that.
I'll say publicity is everything. But yeah, that's Halloween H20. 20 years later, released 1998. And I touched on the cast. I mean, it's got a good cast in this movie. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, Janet Leigh, LL Cool J. I think this was his first movie as an actor. And then Jody Lynn O'Keefe, Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, Adam Arkin. All of them. It's a great cast of people in this movie. In memory of Donald Pleasance. And if you hear it, my dog is barking. So
Yeah, it's coming in a lot better now.
yeah, but that was it as far as Halloween H20 goes. Yeah, this is Echo Bridge Home Entertainment, and yeah,
Back to
just
the
want
home
to.
screen.
Yep. All right, well, welcome back. That was mine and Stephen Mott's commentary for Halloween H20, 20 years later from 1998. Hope you all enjoyed. I said I would be back here at the end to go over some future endeavors and stuff like that. I'm not intending to stop altogether when I do go on my break for season one. I'm going to do some mini reviews, and I'm planning to do some full-length commentaries myself, along with maybe having Steven on some. Um, Looking forward to doing all of that. I've got some reviews I'm going to do here in the future, but some mini reviews and stuff like that. But like I said, this isn't going to be kind of my goodbye for good for right now. I'm going to continue to do some reviews and stuff like that, but just more kind of a spread out basis and not every week. But I'm doing this mainly, like I said in the commentary, to focus more on the podcast, as well to kind of kind of redo my format, include more of my physical appearance in it, stuff like that, and become a better editor with it. And but a whole lot more stuff to come with my particular channel. Go support the Dunnigan Mott Music and Movie Podcast, Stephen Mott's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. For those of you who do support my channel, thank you all so much. And there's just a world of possibilities with this particular channel, and I'm looking forward to each one of them. And that's really all I've got to say. Like I said, a lot more to come. And I'll probably come back with season 2 around July or August. I'll let people know then when I'm coming back. I've got some things I'm thinking about doing for that as well. But that's pretty much all I've got to say. We actually did a resurrection commentary along with this one. We were going to split it into 2 parts for the season 1 finale. But there were some interruptions and Stephen had to leave, so we just split all that. We just cut all that out and decided, like I said during the commentary, we were going to do it next season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. We may do it for the podcast beforehand. I don't know yet, but hope you all enjoyed. It's been a great season. It went from some small review I did for someone else to a full-on YouTube channel. And it's been a fun ride this season, and looking forward to next season. And pretty much all I have to say here. It's been a great season. Thank you all for supporting me, and just thank you all so much. God bless you, and as I always say, see you next time.